Hello again. I'm going to have a quick look at three books today. Two of these are sort of linked. The first of these I read some time ago, and that is Sightlines by Kathleen Jamie. It's published by Sort of Books and was given a rave review by Nicholas Lazard in The Guardian some time ago. I read it back then and I wasn't quite sure how to approach reviewing it until I read this book, which is The Faraway Nearby by Rebecca Solnit. This is published by Granta. Please excuse my slightly grubby proof, but it's been on holiday with me. And the two books are sort of linked because they both have a similar approach, which is chapters which look at sort of specific things, but which are able to draw in lots of other information. The first book, Kathleen Jamie's book, is sold very much as nature or travel writing, and that's what she's known for. She's also a poet. And what she does in each chapter is to talk about a specific place that she's been to and the flora and fauna that she finds there, and also weaves in personal recollections and stories. Nicholas Lazard was very, very complimentary about the book. He actually mentioned there was one chapter that he was almost too afraid to read because so vivid was her writing that the chapter which dealt with our own pathology and cancer in particular, he was worried that by some strange form of osmosis that he would actually get cancer by reading about it. It's a shame he didn't read it because I think it's actually the strongest section in the book. Her writing about nature is fantastic. When she applies that same approach and that same kind of language to our own personal landscape, she achieves something really interesting because we're not used to thinking about our bodies in that way. She goes to a pathologist's lab. She looks at slides of cancerous cells and is able to describe them in the same way that you might describe a river system or a topographical map. And she achieves something really unique in that chapter. Elsewhere in the book, as I say, there's lots of fantastic writing. I read it all in one go and I found I was losing energy towards the end there. So I would recommend it being the kind of book that you dip into, one for the bedside table, pick it up, read a chapter, relish it, enjoy it, put it down, and then come back to it another time. The same thing applies really to Rebecca Solnit's book. This is the first of hers that I've read, and I'm ashamed to discover that she's written plenty more. The good news about that is that this one is fantastic, and if any of the others are half as good, then it means that there's a rich backlog of writing for me to catch up on there. This is sold very much more as memoir. The book starts off with a box of apricots being delivered to her house, and from this box of apricots she is able to spin out lots of different stories, like Scheherazade herself. These are stories about her own family and herself, but also stories about people like Mary Shelley or Che Guevara. It's amazing the range of things that she's able to pull into this book. Some of it very personal, again, some of it dealing with illness and pathology, and that's why these two books, despite being very different, feel kind of linked in my head. A similar thing with the chapters. I think it's great to pick up the book, to read one, enjoy it, and then put it down and then come back to it another time. This book, The Faraway Nearby, has a much more obvious structure to it. And if I had to pick one of the two as a personal favourite, it would be this one. As I say, the standard of the writing is just fantastic. And there is so much in there. It's a very, very rich book. Lots of things to provoke your own brain into thinking about lots of interesting things. A real treat. The third book I'm looking at is completely different. It's another graphic novel. This one, I'm going to call it 3 Seconds, although you could just call it 3. But that's because the action of the book takes place over 3 seconds. It's published by Jonathan Cape. It is by Marc-Antoine Mathieu. As you can see inside, there are black and white images, and what the book does is it zooms in on various things. So here you can see zooming in on an eyeball, which gives you a reflection, and then you zoom into that reflection, which here happens to be a mobile phone camera, and then you zoom into the lens, and then the eye keeps zooming in on various reflective surfaces so that you move around a location, and you're cast in the sort of role of a detective really to work out what's going on, what crime is being committed over these 3 seconds. It's a brilliant idea and it's very well done. I found it quite tiring to read on my eyes because as you're zooming in all over the place, you do really have to concentrate your eye muscles, and I actually found that quite tiring. But technically, it's quite an achievement, and it's kind of fun to sort of work out what's happening over the course of the book. Obviously, a very quick read. It'd be very interesting to see what he might do next. That's all for this week. I don't know when I'll be back again or what I might be talking about, but thank you for joining me and see you again soon.